What is up, Pass the Rock fans? It is still 2023 today. It's going to be 2024 in a couple days, and maybe next year the Detroit Pistons will win a game. This is Pass the Rock.
What do y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian. Posting like Kobe Bryant, flying to see the pilot. Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jackies. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock. Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo partner, pass the rock, for real.
Zach, almost that new year. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. Anybody else watching, Happy Holidays. What is the best thing that you got for the holidays this year?
Ooh, that's a tough question. It's been a while since, I got this hat today, but it wasn't for the holidays. I did, maybe I could say the Visa gift card used to get this new hat. Got that 1980s World Series patch.
Okay.
I don't know. A lot of nice things came my way. I'm going to say I got a West Virginia branded comfy. You know what a comfy is?
Yeah, I have one. Very nice.
So it's a nice, I haven't tried it on yet, but it's yellow. It's got West Virginia on it. Maybe if it's nice and cold, maybe I'll wear it on a show sometime. But I'd say that's up there as one of the best gifts I got. How about yourself?
I think the best thing I got, honestly, I got a lot of clothes. And I honestly kind of needed some stuff. I got some nice pajamas. I'm actually wearing them right now, but you can't see that. I didn't get a ton of gifts this year, honestly. My family's pretty small, but my favorite thing that I got was I got a new house for my cat that I just got, and there was a nice sale at PetSmart, and he's very happy in his new home. So that was probably the best gift that I gave anybody. Yeah. But the best gift of all is being able to, do Pass the Rock every week and be here with our community and continue to create amazing, fun content. We've been having a great week on TikTok. Lots of fun, lots of engagement there. So go check us out on socials if you haven't already. But let's get right into today's show. So first off, the Pistons have lost an NBA record 27 games straight. Nobody in the history has lost more games in a row. What is more embarrassing, losing 27 games in a row or the fact that the Spurs and Wizards are only 2 games up? Hey, Brian, let me re-say that because when you joined, it messed my camera up.
Sorry.
So, what is more embarrassing, losing 27 games in a row or the fact that the Spurs and Wizards are only 2 games up on the Pistons?
Well, I mean, before we talk about the Pistons, let's just admire how bad they've been. The all season in the NFL, the Cardinals have 3 wins. The Commanders and the Patriots have 4 wins, which is doubling the Pistons, and the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the NFL, has the same amount of wins as the Pistons do. The Pistons just have way more losses, and they get way more opportunities to come out on top. With that being said, I feel like one thing we are overlooking, 27 straight is the record for single season streak. Technically, they're still in second place.
I don't buy into that crap. You're not the same team the next year. It does not roll over. It's BS. It does not count. Same with that whack-ass Warriors win streak of like 35 regular season games over one season. It does not count. It is not the same team. It is not the same year. BS.
Well, I'm going to say they're going to break that record regardless, the multi-season record. So all they need to do is lose to the Raptors, and they break that record tonight.
If they lose, because now the Raptors are going to lose to the Pistons.
If they lose to the Celtics, that technically ties that multi-season record of 28 games. But like, do what you will with that. If they hit 29 losses straight, that's the official, no doubt about it, no contention record. I think it's just the most embarrassing thing ever. I mean, at least with the Spurs and the Wizards, we knew they were going to be pretty bad. The Wizards are definitely a little disappointing considering that they do have guys like Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole on the roster, but they're still the Wizards. They don't have Bradley Beal anymore. You kind of were expecting a down year for them. This is obviously worse than expected, but still not really out of character for them. The Spurs, they're in a full rebuild. They have Wembanyama, who's in his first year. Yes, he's putting up some great counting stats, but there's no one around him. They haven't built around him yet. I expect kind of like how the Cavs were with LeBron the first couple of years. They had nothing going right for them except for LeBron. Same thing's going to happen in San Antonio, but like at least you have that bright spot on the roster that you're looking for. And then you have the Pistons, who Cade Cunningham is balling out. He's having some great games, but the front office really said this is a roster that can compete for a play-in spot, for a playoff spot. How horribly did they estimate that on top of some of the crazy, terrible decisions that Monty Williams has made over the course of these 27 losses? It almost seems like he wanted to get this record and wants to have the all-time record by a number of games, especially with not playing Joe Harris in a lot of these games. Joe Harris, a pretty good spot-up shooter. I would say that
Joe Harris would be the difference between 27 and 28.
I'm just saying Joe Harris would at least make a positive impact more than some of these guys. Why is Alec Burks playing 25 minutes in an NBA game, let alone multiple NBA games?
That was the longest wrong answer ever.
Nope.
Ryan, to put it succinctly, what's more embarrassing, losing 27 or the fact that the Spurs and Wizards are only 2 games up?
The Spurs and Wizards only being like a couple of games back is so much worse. It's so much worse. This Pistons team is terrible. They get all the press because they lost so many in a row. But those bottom 3 might be the worst in NBA history of any 3 teams this far into a season. It's embarrassing. Not just what the Pistons are doing. The Pistons are totally, they have their own level of embarrassing. But with the Spurs and especially the Wizards were like, oh, we'll make a trade and then we're going to be good to go. Oh, my God. No, those 2 are worse because in the end, the way Cade's playing, he could pass those other teams up and have this streak.
I think it absolutely has to be the Wizards being more embarrassing. They're not supposed to be this horrible. Like, they actually have they have a solid, not solid, but they have a better than 5-25 roster. They got Jordan Poole, Kyle Kuzma, Daniel Gafford, Tyus Jones, Denny Avdia, Bilal Coulibaly. Like, they've got some players on that team. DeLon Wright. Like, they should not only this team is the worst team in NBA history, the Pistons. They should not only be 2 games above that team.
Right.
I don't understand why we're acting like guys outside of Poole, Kuzma, Avdija, and I guess Gafford are actually quality NBA players still in the NBA. I don't know why we're acting like that.
Tyus Jones was the best backup point guard in the NBA last season, and I don't know what they're doing with him. The Jordan Poole move was terrible because he's just not.
It was totally awful, terrible move for them. But I'm saying
I wouldn't act like the Pistons are that bad either. They've got a pretty decent roster.
Yeah.
It's actually insane to me how many games that they've lost in a row with Jalen Duren, with Cade Cunningham, with Jaden Ivey. Also, why the hell does Killian Hayes still start over Jaden Ivey? Yeah. It actually makes 0 sense.
It makes no sense why you have guys like Alec Burks playing 25 minutes a night and Joe Harris doesn't get any minutes.
And Asar Thompson had 8 minutes the other night in the game they lost to the Nets.
That makes no sense.
If you're going to lose, at least play your young players. Don't play Alec Burks for 25 minutes if you're going to lose 27 games in a row.
I think if Asar Thompson plays 25 minutes, they would have won a game by now.
Well, I'm really honestly, if it's not I'm really scared it's going to be the Raptors tomorrow on Saturday. If it's not the Raptors, we genuinely might go until February without seeing them win a game. Their schedule gets tough. They do get the Spurs in the middle of January at some point. That could be game of the year. But after the Raptors, I think they get the Warriors, Nuggets, Kings. They go through a West.
So their schedule tonight's the Celtics, the Raptors on Saturday. They go to Houston January 1st. Then they go to Utah the 3rd, and then you have that Warriors, Nuggets, Kings gauntlet, followed by the game.
Why are the Warriors in the gauntlet?
I mean, Warriors,
let's be real.
They're not going to lose to the Pistons.
I don't think
but that could be a game where they bench everybody like the Celtics are trying to do.
Honestly, I think the best answer of who's going to be the team to shamefully lose to the Pistons is one team just bites the bullet, rests all their starters, and then they can say, well, we had no one playing. Utah did that, and they still beat the Pistons.
Yeah, I know. They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So, I honestly have a feeling it could be Boston tonight. What if it would be so funny if the
oh my god, it'd be hilarious. Yeah.
So,
I'm picking the Warriors. The Warriors are just lost right now. And I think this is the kind of game where Cade, puts up another 41 banger and, It makes it happen.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Game of the year, Wednesday, January 10th, Spurs at Pistons.
All right, put it in your calendar. That was 10 minutes of Pistons talk I'm never getting back. So let's move on. Let's talk about more NBA playoff action. So who finishes this season as the higher seed, Minnesota or Denver?
I'm going to go with Denver. I think they just I feel like, Minnesota's got off to a really hot start. I don't know how sustainable it is. They're a very, very good team, but, I feel like, later in the season, things are going to start to slow down a little bit for them. I'm going to go with Denver.
I'm going to say Minnesota because Denver doesn't care about being the 1 seed, the 2 seed, the 3 seed. They're going to let them have it. They're going to do what they did last year where they rested Jokic at the end of the year, make sure he's ready for round 1, and they're good to go. I think Minnesota wins the West.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as like a 55 wins for Minnesota and probably like 52 for Denver. Like they'll be right there, but can see. Also, yeah, Anthony Edwards has publicly stated that he does not rest games. He does not do that. He only sits if he's actually hurt. And Denver, I mean, Jamal Murray sits out every other night, and Nikola Jokic never plays back-to-backs either. So I think it's definitely going to be Minnesota.
And there was a dog attack. I mean, come on.
Oh, Aaron Gordon got attacked by a dog, but yeah. All right, the Lakers or the Clippers, Brian?
I definitely think it's the Lakers. I think the Clippers have shown that they, have a little bit of juice in the last couple of weeks. I still don't think this team works. There's 4 people that need the ball, and the only one that's said that he'll come off the bench is Westbrook. And I just think ultimately this team runs out of steam. I think the Lakers easily beat the Clippers in the standings.
I wholly disagree. The Clippers have been doing pretty solid overall. I think the Clippers will end up being a top 7 seed, whereas the Lakers they feel like a team that's been consistently right around the play-in. I don't see that changing whatsoever. The Clippers their offense is arguably the best in the league right now. They've had a really good December offensively. Defense, definitely not anything special, but if their offense stays as productive as it's been, which I'm pretty surprised how well it's run, but seems like everyone's sharing the ball well, despite them all probably wanting it. I'm going to say the Clippers hold it steady, finish ahead of the Lakers.
They're going to have some historic drama, I think, before the end of the season.
I'm going to use
maybe
your
eventually,
reasoning.
but right now it looks like the ship is sailing fine.
Brian, I'm going to use your reasoning and say the Clippers because I don't think the Lakers care about the regular season all that much. I think LeBron's taken some nights off. Anthony Davis surprisingly has only missed 2 games all season. So actually shout out AD for keeping his word of trying to play every game. But I think it's going to be the Clippers. Ultimately, this team just seems like a better regular season team than the Lakers do. The Lakers have their own issues to work out right now. And I think the Clippers, they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. It seems like the ship is sailing. It might sink at some point, but I think that the Clippers will finish higher. And there's a good chance, I think, that these teams finish as the 6th and 7th seed. They're both right next to each other. Right now, the West is very packed, same as last year. The 11th seed is 2 games back of the 5th seed.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a mess.
Also,
moving on, though, I think
before we move on, one more thing. Lakers have, after winning the in-season tournament, they have fallen flat. They have not looked good since then.
Yeah, well, that's all they need from the regular season. They don't care about that. They just care about the 500K. So let's move on. These 2 teams both, I think, could finish top 4. Depends what order. Kings or Thunder, Zach?
Oh, man. 2 young, exciting teams right there. You could pick either or. I think both teams are going to easily be top 5 seeds. I'm going to go with the Thunder. I really like their young talent overall. I mean, Shea and Shed have been a dynamic duo all season long. Their depth is obviously great as always. They've really impressed me. They're 20-9 right now, which, I mean, for a team that I wouldn't have expected to be the 2 seed in the West so far, I mean, they're surpassing all my expectations that I had for them this season. I'm going to say the Thunder hold it steady and end up as the higher seed.
I think it's the Thunder, and it's not even close. And maybe I'm biased because the Kings are one of the teams that the Pelicans usually play well against. But I just think the Thunder are playing where they are, 20-9 so far. And I think the Kings are ripe to be passed by the Mavericks, maybe the Pelicans, Rockets, Suns. I don't see them hanging the same way. I think people have figured them out a little better from last year, all the success they had last year. And I think they end up like the 6th seed. So easily the Thunder for me.
This is going to be a great matchup for years to come. The last time they played about 2 weeks ago, Fox had 41 and Shea had 43, and it was just an absolute duel. I think I'm going to take the Thunder as well. This team has surpassed all expectations, and there's no ceiling for this team right now. The fact that they are the second seed in like year 2 of this thing with all those draft picks still is very scary. I saw JJ Redick talk today about whether the Thunder should trade a bunch of those draft picks if they feel that they're actually good enough to compete with one more piece. I would say no. I would say that they sit on what they have, see how it plays out this year. Like, yeah, you're the second seed right now. The Magic were the 1 seed in the East last year for like the first month of the year, and then they fell off a cliff. So if the Thunder can finish as a top 4 or 5 seed in the West, I'd say you definitely, ride it out. It's the first year in the playoffs for almost everyone on the team. See how it goes. You learn something, kind of get a better feel of what you actually need on the team to compete. Maybe you go up against, Denver or LA and you find out you need a better big man because they're just playing small ball right now. So I think the Thunder will finish higher, and I think that they're probably the best positioned team for the future in the entire league. All right. 2 juggernauts that have not played well, the Warriors or the Suns. Who finishes higher?
I'm going to go with the Suns, but it's mostly because I expect them to be able to figure it out and put it all together. They've been plagued with injuries early on this season with Bradley Beal and Devin Booker and now Kevin Durant all missing time. If all 3 of them, or even just 2 out of 3 of them, can stay on the court, they're a team that can win any game. I think they'll end up as the higher seed. Plus, the Warriors just have not looked that good this season outside of Steph Curry.
Oh, it's absolutely the Suns. Now, I do think it's like the 7-seeded Suns versus the 10-seeded Warriors. I don't think either of these teams look super impressive going into the playoffs. The Warriors may not even make it. I think it's that bad, especially without Draymond for however long that lasts. And so I'm all in on the Suns winning this, although super not impressive on their side.
Both these teams are currently 500 at 15-15. I think the Warriors finish higher because this Suns team is just such a dumpster fire. Like, they are so bad outside of their top 3, and they have 3 guys on the team making $50 million and a bunch of schmoes outside of that. I mean, Grayson Allen has been like the leading scorer outside of those guys, and the Warriors, I would like to say, at least have a decent rotation, and they've got some good young players. Jonathan Kuminga, I think, is going to take a big leap in the second half of this season. And you still have Steph and Clay, and I'm going to take that over the Beal, Booker, KD experiment because it obviously isn't working. KD looks not happy. Devin Booker's trying to play games, but he's, the games that he's out, it's just awful. Bradley Beal still hasn't been on the court in weeks, and it's just so funny to think, like, in my mind, should we just fast forward to the finals graphic of the Suns? And it's just like they're the 10th seed right now. Like, it's just so bad.
One more funny thing that I want to mention. One of my friends at school recently posted a picture saying, "Just joined the Warriors bandwagon with a Steph Curry jersey." He's a Steelers fan, so there's like no basketball team. I'm
a little late.
I want to tell him, you're about like half a decade late to this bandwagon. But
yeah, guys, I just got a brand new iPhone 8 for Christmas. Let's go.
Yep, same type of vibe. I was like, dude, like, first of all, why? Secondly, you're a bit late.
Yeah, that's like jumping on the Patriots bandwagon now. It's like you missed your stop. All right, let's we'll save the East for next week. Let's move on. So 1/3 through the NBA season, who is your MVP? Brian.
Ooh. 1/3 through the end. Let me pull up. I have the standings here. I gotta this one's tough. Part
it's
of
really
me
not
wants to
tough.
say you don't think?
It's not
Part
tough,
of me
and
wants
it's Luka Doncic. It's Luka Doncic, and it's not close.
Interesting. So
he's
they're
been playing out of his mind.
The MVP.
I have the betting odds pulled up. I'll read them after we all give our take.
I would rather pick somebody that's not the 6th seed. No offense to what he's doing, but again, like I've said,
2 games back of being the 3 seed.
They're the 6th seed. They're just. I don't think he makes them that much better than what they could already be. I don't know. And y'all know I'm not a huge Luka fan as far as long-term playoff success. I was going to say Giannis because I just feel like the Bucks are overachieving on the defensive on like in the standings because of what he's doing. Because when you have Dame Lillard, you cannot play defense at the point, and I just think that what they're doing there elevates him. I know I'm not as much of a Luka fan. I just don't feel like they win enough games with him playing the way that he does.
Okay. Before we get into my take, which is extremely obvious, we have had a 6 seed win the MVP before with Russell Westbrook, but he literally had to make history to do it. So I feel like with that Luka argument, it's like, yes, he's definitely I'd argue he's definitely a top 3 MVP candidate, but he's going to need to either make history or have his team be a top 4 seed to be able to win that MVP.
I mean, Russell, when he did it, he averaged 30-point triple-double. Luka averages 33, 9, and 8 right now, which is absurd. Also, Kyrie Irving hasn't played in like 3 weeks. The Mavericks had a hotter start to the season. They've cooled off a little bit recently, but the way that man plays, nobody on the Boston Celtics deserves the MVP. Jason Tatum's never going to win it because their team is just too good. The Bucks, I also don't think. I mean, Giannis is a good answer, but I don't think he will. Embiid, probably the closest, probably should be the front runner right now. And the Sixers have been great as well. The Mavericks, though, of all those teams, their team is by far the worst outside of Luka. And I just think the fact that this man is putting up 50, 39, 10, and 12, these insane stat lines, and the Mavericks are that good with nobody else. I mean, Dante Exum is their freaking second leading scorer outside of Luka. I didn't know he was still in the league, and he's actually been playing great. I just think the top teams in the East are all way too stacked. Minnesota does not have anybody deserving of MVP. I love Ant, but he hasn't, he's not the reason that they're the 1 seed. He's been playing great, but he's not the MVP.
It's another team argument.
Yeah, it's a great team. Denver, I don't think they're going to give it to Jokic again. And the Thunder, you could make a case for Shea. He's been playing amazing as well. And honestly, I think Shea should be in the top 4 names in the MVP race.
Yeah.
But again, that team is also just super fluid and has been playing great as a unit. So I just think outside, there's nobody else good on the Mavs. And I just think the fact that Luka is carrying them even to a 6th seed, I think they might finish higher. But I just think Luka Magic deserves it. He's been unreal this season.
All right. Before I read the official odds, as of today, I'll make my case real quick. Last year, Embiid averaged 33, 10, and 4. This year, through 1/3 of the season, he's averaging 35, 11, and 6, almost 12.
That's so absurd.
Absolutely absurd. Last year was an MVP-worthy season. This year, he's improved upon it. And even if it's only 2 more points a game, 1 more rebound, and 2 more assists, that's still significant improvement for a guy who just won an MVP. He's the NBA's leading scorer right now. Arguably the best mid-range shooting big we've seen in God knows how long. His mid-range game is absolutely absurd. And he can just score at will, take over a game at will. He's also putting up absurd stat lines. His December, he's had until he just missed these last 2 games, pretty much on a huge 30-10 streak for 13, 14 games. He was putting up 30 and 10 every single night. We haven't seen numbers like that from players besides literal Hall of Famers like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Moses Malone, Wilt Chamberlain. Shaquille O'Neal had never had a streak that long that Embiid had earlier this season. So if it was 1/3 through the NBA season, I think without a doubt it has to be Joel Embiid. But here are the official odds as of today. The front runner is Joel Embiid at plus 200, followed by Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Giannis Antetokounmpo rounds out the top 5. Outside of that, more so long shots, we have Tatum, Halliburton, and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm honestly surprised that Anthony Davis isn't on that list somewhere.
Anthony Davis is pretty far down. He is plus 9,000 odds.
They're still, you have to bet on his health. That's why it's.
I feel like it's not just betting on health. It's that the Lakers are 500 right now as well.
Yeah, they're not that good. All right,
So right now, I really like that Shea is in top 4 though. Shea being the 4th option, he's having a phenomenal season.
Wait till Ja Morant jumps up when he pulls this team out of the depths. into where
if John
where they
Morant
end up
pulls
being.
the Grizzlies from like 13th in the West back into the
Yeah.
playoffs, like Adam Silver's not going to let it happen.
John Morant is not on this list, and this list goes to plus 30,000 odds.
I don't think he's eligible actually with the amount of games he missed.
He might not be eligible
because I think that was part of the reason
right.
was he got 25 games, and it's like
Yeah.
you have to play 60 something to be in the
Right.
consideration.
He can only play
Right.
57
Yeah.
if he
And I think he has to I know to make like an all NBA team, an all-star and that, or all NBA, he has to have at least 65 games, I think it is, or something. But
yeah, I think you're right.
So probably won't happen. All right, let's switch over to the gridiron. We're going to talk about some NFL. So on a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood of the Bills winning a playoff game this year? Now, they likely are going to end up as, I mean, either the 5 seed or as high as the 2 seed, depending on where they finish.
Right.
If they finish above Miami. So as the 5 seed, they would most likely play whoever wins the AFC South, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's
right now, Jacksonville, but I don't think they even win the division at this point.
Well, CJ Stroud's actually back this week, by the way. So that's big for the Texans. So what is the likelihood of the Bills winning at least one playoff game, Brian?
I say a 9. I just think whether they're the 6 seed, the 5 seed and play Jacksonville, or the 6 seed and they get to go to Kansas City, a team that's literally falling apart in front of our eyes, assuming Kansas City wins their division. I really like the Bills. I don't necessarily think they win the entire AFC because eventually they'll have to play the Ravens, but I could see them getting to the AFC Championship out of the wild card, winning 2 away games.
Okay.
Zach?
I'm assuming with the notion they end up as a wild card team, I think the Dolphins will end up winning the division. If they were to host a playoff team, I'd probably give them like an 8. But since I'm assuming that they're going to be on the road, I'm actually going to go with like a 6, just like their current projected seed. This team has been very up and down this year. We've seen some great moments from the Bills and then some sloppy moments where it's just either like there's just an errant throw by Josh Allen or the wrong play is called or a miscommunication cost them. Like just the little things that cost this team they just pile up, and it's just like this could totally happen in a playoff game and just end the season. I do like their chances against the Chiefs, even though I think the Chiefs the Chiefs at Arrowhead, they win that most of the time. If they face an AFC South team, if it's the Texans, I actually like the Texans a lot in that matchup. I think they'd have a really good shot against the Bills. But I mean, I feel like I'm slightly favoring the Bills in those matchups, but I'm not like being like, oh, I think the Bills outright beat the Chiefs, the Jaguars I think they do beat, but the Chiefs, the Texans, I think those are harder matchups than you might think.
I'm gonna say it's an 8 because I think that the Bills are playing the best out of anybody in the AFC, not named the Baltimore Ravens. I think that the Dolphins, they beat the Cowboys last week. I mean, they've been shaky. This conversation would be a lot different if the Bills lost to the Chargers because they were close to losing that game. But they've been playing really good football as of late. It seems like they finally discovered that they have a run game, which has just been the biggest hole in the Bills team for the last 4 years is they just did not have a run game and they didn't commit to it. People thought James Cook was a bust last year and now he looks like a top 10 running back in the league. So I'm going to say it's an 8. I think that no matter who the Bills play, as long as it's not Baltimore, that they probably win that game. I think they would be lucky to get the Chiefs in round 1, get them while they're still messed up. If the Chiefs win the wild card round and you meet in the divisional, I don't think you want to get them while they start to get hot. But if you can catch the Chiefs while they're sliding, get them out early, I think that that's their best chance going forward. All right, Zach, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are the chances that Lamar Jackson wins MVP?
Ooh, I mean, we're talking about the QB award. Right now, I'd give it a 7. I think there's a very good chance that Lamar ends up with the MVP this year. To me, it's already come down to Lamar or CMC, and this is an award that's typically given to quarterbacks. Lamar's had a phenomenal year. A lot of quarterbacks have had very solid years, but they've had dents in their MVP cases, which is why they're lower than Lamar Jackson right now. I don't think Lamar is like the runaway favorite yet. I still think CMC has a legitimate claim. And to me, he should be the MVP. But because it's a quarterback award, I think Lamar right now, if the season ended today, he's your MVP. He is who will get the award right now if the season ended today. I'm not saying it's set in stone yet, which is why I'm not going higher. But I think a 7 is a really good spot for him.
I think it's a 9. I think after the game Monday night, he's firmly in the position to do it. I think you have CMC and you have a real dark horse with Tyreek Hill. Both guys, if they have stupid, crazy final 2 weeks of the season, if Tyreek gets not only to 2,000, but maybe 2,100, I think you'll have some votes go his way. And maybe if Lamar stumbles at all, but for the most part, it's Lamar's award at this point.
Brian, for him to get to 2,100, he would need 450 yards in 2 games.
That's what I'm saying. If he gets 225 a game, I think people are going to vote for him. Even if he gets to 2,000,
it's possible.
I think if he gets to 2,000, he has a chance because I think people are just going to be like, well, that's an unbelievable season. Miami wouldn't be anywhere near where they are without him because the quarterback play has not been unbelievably stellar. But I think it's Lamar's award.
To me, the biggest knock against Tyreek Hill, and it's honestly a very dumb knock, but it's going to be a knock regardless. He missed a game, and that's going to weigh on people a lot that he missed a game during this immaculate season. People with actual brains, if he hits 2,000, be like, oh, he hit 2,000 in 16 games. That used to be the NFL's schedule. But most people are just going to say, oh, he missed a game. He's not going to be able to win it because he missed that game and it cut his production. It's he could have been so much better. So I'm saying I like your argument. I think he should be higher in the rankings, but I know right now he's not even top 5 in betting odds. He's completely out of the race, basically.
I get it. And look, he was 45-1 at one point. I think your argument of my argument is actually the opposite. I think it helps him because he only does it in 16 games. Now, in the end, Lamar's
people don't have the brains to understand how great that is. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, I hear you. But I think Lamar's too far ahead anyway. But yeah.
I'm going to give this an 8 because I think it's very possible. However, this changes every week. Dak Prescott looked like the favorite until he lost to the Bills and then now the Dolphins again. I think it's going to be a good chance that it's Lamar. It really sucks that one of Tyreek Hill and CMC is not going to get the Offensive Player of the Year, and it's going to be Tyreek Hill because CMC deserves it. When you just look at the stats, Tyreek Hill is, on his way to 2,000, and Christian McCaffrey has 2,000 yards this season. He has 1,500 rushing and 500 receiving, not to mention 21 touchdowns, whereas Tyreek Hill has, I think, 12. So it's just Tyreek Hill has been amazing, and it helps to be able to run the ball and receive the ball to have more yards. But Christian McCaffrey literally has 400 or 500 more scrimmage yards and 9 more touchdowns. I don't think it's actually close at all for the Offensive Player of the Year argument. As for MVP, though, it's most likely going to be Lamar just because of the quarterback award. But if it weren't, I would say CMC deserves it over Tua. He deserves it over Dak. He deserves it over Purdy. He deserves it over Mahomes, Allen, any of those guys. It goes Lamar and then CMC. All right, let's go on. Bonus question here. Russell Wilson is going to be cut by the Denver Broncos in March after a failed experiment. He's going to be benched for the last 2 weeks. Who knows why? For Jarrett Stidham. They're 7-8. If they win out, they can still make the playoffs. Sean Payton says it is to hopefully get a spark for the offense after their dreadful performance against the Patriots, which cut their chances to make the playoffs in a 10th, I think. They were 60% chance if they won, and now they have a 1% chance to make the playoffs if they win out. So what is the best landing spot for Russell Wilson? And is Russell Wilson an upgrade or a downgrade for these teams? So let's talk about the Saints. Would Russell Wilson be an upgrade for the Saints?
This is I never expected I would answer this way, but he would absolutely not be an upgrade. And the only reason is because, and I am so anti Derek Carr at this point. Don't even get me started. The good news about Derek Carr is he's 3 years younger, A, and B, after next year, we can get rid of him. I don't want to bring on another old quarterback. Russell Wilson's 35 right now, to then try to figure out what I do in the future. What I'm doing if I'm the Saints is drafting a quarterback this draft, and I'm riding out with Derek Carr through week 4 and then putting him on the bench and going with my rookie.
But wouldn't it be just so funny if Russell Wilson said screw you to Sean Payton and went to the Saints?
The Saints mayor was trying to get him to come to us 2 years ago when she didn't realize he wasn't a free agent and it was actually we would have to trade for him. But yeah, I don't think I want to get in bed with another old quarterback. I want to go get really young, and so I can live through one more year or 4 more games, hopefully, of Derek Carr.
All right. What about the Atlanta Falcons? Zach, what do you think?
I think he would be a clear upgrade, and I don't know how you can make a case against that with the quarterbacks they have on their roster. At least with Derek Carr, you can make the argument that he's younger and that, like, I mean, that's pretty much like the main argument there. He's younger, but with the Falcons, Heineke is your best quarterback on the roster, and let's be honest, he's a high-end backup at best. Russell Wilson on his worst day is pretty much that level, if not better.
He's better.
I think, yeah. I'm saying on his absolute worst day, which was last year.
Right.
Last year was his worst days, and he was still, arguably about the same level as Heineke, if not better. So I'm saying it'd be a clear upgrade. He could actually throw to guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I think he'd actually be able to, like, maybe Wilson actually says, "Hey, let's use Bijan Robinson for once." Gets the run game going because he's not going to be able to throw every single play. Because if the Falcons made him throw every single play, his arm would fall off. So I think it would be a clear upgrade for the Falcons if they did end up with Russell Wilson somehow.
I actually kind of think it's I don't know. I kind of think it's a great move because Desmond Ridder sucks, and I will die on that hill. He sucks.
Oh yeah, he's awful.
Like Taylor Heineke, I from the start of the season I said should have been the starter. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson, say what you want about him, is still arguably the best deep ball thrower in the league. He might not have a complete game, but on a deep ball, he's one of the best with the placement, the power, the accuracy. Having guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts in that offense with the noodle arms in the QB room right now, I think you put Russell Wilson there, you get a lot more out of guys like Drake London and Kyle Pitts. However, I don't think that the Falcons are like a quarterback away from contending.
No.
And I mean, actually, you know what? They might be, because right now they're almost in the playoffs as is. So they actually might be. However, a 35-year-old quarterback for the Falcons timeline doesn't really work out, but I think that it would get them a hell of a lot closer. And honestly, they could probably win the division off of that. Mm-hmm. All right, Brian, the Minnesota Vikings.
So the question is, does oh shoot, what's his name that tore his AC? Kirk Cousins. Is he still with them next year? Or is he at the end of his contract? So if he's not at the end of his contract, absolutely not. Is that an upgrade? If he is,
I'm pretty sure he's walking because there was all the talk about where Kirk Cousins is.
I'm checking his contract.
Yeah. Because then you're looking at Nick Mullins or
Darren Hall, who's starting.
Kirk Cousins will be a free agent after this season. He will still get money from the Vikings from his signing bonus or whatever. But yeah, he is an unrestricted free agent after this season.
You need a real quarterback, or else Justin Jefferson's gone really, really soon. So I don't know that Justin Jefferson is waiting for you to provide a rookie quarterback and get him up to speed. So you're going to have to sign a veteran. There'll probably be better veterans out there, but Russell Wilson's an upgrade.
Wilson, you said that Wilson's 35. Kirk Cousins is also 35. Right. That wouldn't mess too much with their timeline overall with, how they probably want their quarterback to be at the moment. I do think Russell Wilson's an upgrade. I don't think he's like a massive upgrade for that offense or anything, but he's definitely a bit of an upgrade. But I really think I don't think they completely move on from Kirk Cousins. He's been fantastic for Minnesota in the time he's been there. He's been a great fit for them. Clearly his teammates love him. I don't see Russell Wilson to the Vikings happening, but I think it would be an upgrade.
Here's an interesting one. What about the New York Football Giants?
Oh my God.
Even though they just paid Daniel Jones.
I don't think it's an upgrade. Why do you want a 35-year-old quarterback? Like, I'd rather see. Okay, you got Tommy DeVito, and then you got Daniel Jones.
Taylor. Don't forget Tyrod.
And Tyrod Taylor, who, by the way, is starting this week and looked awesome in the second half last week. Now, granted, it was just the Eagles, but but in the end, I'm not ruining. Like, youth is too valuable, even if it's youth that you don't believe is going to end up being the end all be all. If Daniel Jones shows anything and you can get something for him to trade, although that contract is really just decapitating that team right now. But I'm not taking on Russell Wilson. It's just there, he's already had his best years, and I don't think his not best years are doing anything for you.
All right, here's one for you, Zach. What are the odds now? I don't know if this would work or not. Should Russell Wilson go back to Seattle? Because they have Geno Smith, who's aging out, and I mean, Drew Lock looked amazing last week before,
MVP Drew Lock, yeah.
But I know that they traded him away. We could see a KD going back to Oklahoma. We might see Russ going back to Seattle. What are your thoughts? Crazy?
I don't think it's the worst idea. I do think, I mean, at the end of the day, Russell Wilson is going to retire a Seattle Seahawk regardless. I think he could still put a quality year, 2, maybe even 3 together for the Seahawks. I part of me says like Russ would be an upgrade. Another part of me would like them to maybe get like a young quarterback in like the second round of the draft thing and like see what they can get in a younger quarterback, see if they can find a gem in the draft. Because I feel like, a quarterback room of Russell Wilson and a younger quarterback to be mentored under Russell Wilson is probably the most ideal situation that I can think of for the Seahawks overall.
You want him as a mentor?
Yes, I'm saying if Russell Wilson was willing to be a mentor for the Seahawks, I think it'd be great for the Seahawks because, you have the aging veteran, the Super Bowl champion, the guy, riding into the sunset with his team that he won everything with. And then you have the young upstart quarterback being mentored under him to basically fill in that gap as soon as he retires. That's like the dream scenario for the Seahawks, but it also involves Wilson being a mentor, which is like near impossible.
No. Give me Drew Lock in that scenario every time. Here's the team that I'm just reading through our list. Here's the team that's perfect. You ready? The Steelers. They have three younger quarterbacks that are all terrible trash. All right. Throw Russell Wilson on that team.
Wait. Hold on. Mitchell Trubisky's not young.
Okay. Well, he's not old. He's not.
No, but
he's
he
not
is
Russell
trash.
Wilson old.
But he is trash.
But think about it. You have guys that can run deep routes, which is exactly what Russell Wilson's good at. He's got 2 running backs. He loves dump offs. I think that's the perfect team.
I agree.
Now, whether they would go and do that, I don't know, but that's the perfect team on this list.
The Steelers,
Steelers
would never do it, but it's the perfect fit for him. I would love to see Russell Wilson in a Steelers uniform next season. It would be great.
I do like the fit. I just really think like Seattle fleecing the Broncos for their entire future and just stocking up just for the Broncos to cut Russ, and then he goes back to Seattle for way less money with a loaded roster, tons of rookies. You got DK and Lockett, who he still has the chemistry with. I just think it could actually really work. And the other team, I'm going to say, just putting it out there, New England Patriots. We could definitely use a freaking quarterback. And, Bill Belichick loves his veterans. He likes someone who knows the system. He doesn't have to teach it to. Not that the Patriots are in any way in the shape to contend, but Bill's been known to sign a veteran QB past their prime to, hold the reins. So we had Cam Newton, for Christ's sake. So
yeah,
I think Russell Wilson to the Pats is actually a very likely possibility. This came to me in my head last night. I was like, oh my God, Russell Wilson's going to be a Patriot next year. And I just couldn't stop thinking about it.
Jesse,
I looked at that.
Look, Jesse, you're getting Drake May or Jaden Daniels, and you're going to like them.
I did like that idea at first, and then I thought, well, there are no receivers on the Patriots who, like, Russell Wilson needs talent around him. He needs it.
I'm just imagining Russell Wilson throwing to Kiki Booty and Kendrick Bourne and Tyquan Thornton and all the guys that we have. Anyway, I actually really think that back to Seattle is the right move because he's known there. I don't think he's like hated there. People still like him in Seattle. He has the chemistry. He knows the system. He knows the coaches. And the team is way better than it was 2 years ago and is looking very bright. So I actually think Seattle is one of the few teams that is really a quarterback away from seriously being a contender the next 2-3 years. Like their defense is legit. They've got some great corners on that team. And not to mention, Kenneth Walker's a stud. DK Metcalf is a stud. And Drew Lock is good, sure, but he's not going to be the franchise quarterback, or else he would have been, and they wouldn't have got Geno Smith. So could be a good move. Anyway, let's move on. We are going to go on some more NFL action. So what is more likely, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl or lose in the wild card round? Brian.
I think the answer to this is losing the wild card round. I really do. I mean, I know you shouldn't. I tell myself this season every week, don't be so bad. Don't be so down on the Chiefs because they always figure it out. They have not figured it out. They haven't come close to figuring it out. Mahomes is now throwing some of the stuff he's throwing. I'm like, oh my God.
Kelsey's dropping balls. They don't know what it
is. Kelsey's never really open anymore. The receivers are open and can't catch. The running backs, Pacheco couldn't even keep his helmet on and then got kneed in the head by one of his offensive guards. Like, this is some like Saints put the bag on your head type stuff. Now, granted, they're still 9-5. Like, they're still finding a way to have a winning record. But I just don't – if they have to play the Bills or the Dolphins or even like the Texans, I don't think the Texans would go in and win because they're just too but they have to play the Browns. The Browns could be their wild card opponent. That's a tough win for them. Joe Flacco looks all world. So I think the better chance is that I just don't see them getting past round one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in the same boat, not necessarily because of round one, like they will lose out, but there's just no shot they make the Super Bowl this year. I think the Ravens, Dolphins, and the Bills and the Browns all have a shot to be able to take down these Chiefs. They have just looked dysfunctional, especially against the Raiders. Looked absolutely out of sync, absolutely dysfunctional. And I know you mentioned Travis Kelce not getting open. This is a down year for him, and he still is probably going to finish with 100 catches for 1,000 yards. That's a down season for Travis Kelce, and that's insane to me. But yeah, overall, I don't see the Chiefs making it back to the Super Bowl. I really think it's the Ravens' year to make it. So I'm going to say it's more likely that they lose in the wild card.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you guys because honestly, depending on who they match up with, the AFC is very deep this year. And if they get the Bills or the Browns in round one, like Joe Flacco has been looking pretty elite. And I would not bet on the Chiefs offense to do well against the Browns defense right now. And that's a revenge game for the Browns too, getting bounced by the Chiefs. I think it's more likely they lose the wild card, even though that's really unlikely. They just do not look like they can contend for a Super Bowl right now. And the AFC runs deep, and it's not going to be a gimme. Like the NFC wildcard games might be a gimme, but not the AFC. All right. What is more likely? The Cowboys make the Super Bowl or the Dolphins make the Super Bowl? Brian.
I think the more likely, and you know, of course, Zach's going to be pissed when I say this, for the Cowboys to make the Super Bowl. The Dolphins don't have the quarterback play to be able to do it. We can all say the same thing about the Cowboys, but their quarterback play has been decidedly better than what Tua's done. They can't beat the Bills, the Ravens, or the Browns for sure. The Chiefs are going to be tough against them. Now, you go to the NFC. You got the 49ers, the Lions, and the Eagles. I think the Lions are going to be paper champions when it comes to this weekend against the Cowboys. And, you know, once we get to the playoffs, the Eagles and the 49ers, you know, they have everything they need. They just need to pull it together. It's not happened. But I think with the Cowboys defense and with the fact that of what Dak can do to manage a game, I think they have a lot better chance to go to the Super Bowl than the Dolphins.
I don't know that I'd agree when you said that their quarterback play has been like so much better. I think that Dak and Tua have been on a pretty even plane all year.
Oh, I would argue they're on like the same level right now. They're both having great seasons, but I'd argue they're about on the same level. I'm going to go with the Dolphins, and not because I think the Dolphins are going to perform exceedingly well in the playoffs. I really think it's the Ravens' year. They have looked dominant all season long. My main concern with the Cowboys is how they performed on the road. They're 7-0 at home, and they're 3-5 on the road. That's a really big glaring hole in what we've seen from the Cowboys. Look, if the Cowboys were able to win this division, the Eagles are a win away. Any of these, if they win another game or the Cowboys lose another game, the Eagles clinch the division and clinch home field, which means the Cowboys are forced to play on the road all the way through to the NFC Championship if they make it there. you're talking about facing teams like, well, first of all, whoever the 4 seed ends up being, they're going to face them because they're going to be the 5 seed. But then you're talking about facing the Niners, the Eagles, the Lions on the road. Any of those teams, I don't think they're going to be able to win on the road against teams like that in playoffs. Of course, I know I'm going to be super, sadistic about my Eagles, super like down on them. But at the same time, Cowboys on the road have just looked very underwhelming. That's their biggest flaw, and I don't think they're going to be able to overcome it come playoff time. For that reason, I'm going with the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins have struggled against over 500 teams, but they've proven that they can win those games at the very least. But the Cowboys on the road, all year it's been a struggle.
You can't list the Lions in that group. You can't list the
Lions.
They don't have a home field advantage. They're paper
to me, the Lions have the second best odds of winning the NFC. It's Niners, Lions, Eagles.
No, it's Niners, Eagles.
I like that you at least put them above the Eagles.
No, right. At this point,
here's the deal for the Cowboys. Here's how the Cowboys make the Super Bowl. They beat the Bucks away. That wouldn't even be that surprising, although you're right. Their road record's an issue. If they have to play the 49ers, they're done. If they have to go to the Eagles, a team that they've played twice already, I think there's a chance. And then you have to play the 49ers. So it's very much a long shot. I don't think either of these teams make it. But do not put the Lions, who have not been in a playoff game in a long time, haven't won their division since well before either of you were born. I was in high school, by the way. So shout out Trev on Instagram. That's right. I'm cool.
Yeah, let's go.
But I don't think that the Lions is a game that anybody's like, oh my God, we're going to play this inexperienced playoff team away. They don't even remember how to get loud in Ford Field.
I just want to remind you guys that the Cowboys went into Tampa Bay and retired Tom Brady last year. So I think they can handle Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to some trivia. So can you name the top 10 players with the most passing yards in a game this season? And some of these are going to knock your socks off.
Ooh, my socks are ready to be knocked.
I got one from last week. Nick Mullins had over 400 yards.
No, why would you guess Nick Mullins? He's number 4.
Because he was on my team. I have a fantasy team that is so decimated quarterback wise. I was between him and Flacco. So I know Nick Mullins threw for 414.
Well, screw you. You're correct. Nick Mullins. I thought was going to be the funny one that no one got. 411 yards. He's good for number 4.
Wow. I'm going to go with Tua Tagovailoa here.
Yep. Number 2 with 466.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Flacco's got to be on there too.
Joe Flacco is actually number 10 with 374 yards against the Bears.
Awesome.
Unreal.
Oh, man. Just some of the quarterbacks on this list already.
I love this list so much.
Oh, my God. I'm assuming Dak Prescott's somewhere on this list.
Yep. Dak Prescott is number 6 with 400.
I was going to guess him
yards.
next. Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
Has Purdy had a big game? I know
Brock
he's had
Purdy
a 4-touchdown game.
Not on the list. Brock Purdy. He 368 was his most, 6 yards behind Joe Flacco.
Oof.
Gotcha.
Yak Merchant right there. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I'm going to say CJ Stroud had a big game.
Number 1, 470 yards in that game.
That is a big game.
In which he also had 5 touchdowns. That was
very big game.
50-point fantasy performance. Number 1 for CJ.
Oh, what about Bakes?
Big Baker Mayfield did against Green Bay, 381 in the perfect passer rating game. Baker Mayfield is number 8.
I'm sorry, I'm stealing all the weird ones, but
no, it's good. I mean, those are the harder ones. I'm trying to think of people, but you know what? I'm just going to guess them anyways. Any chance Jalen Hurts is on this list?
No way.
No.
Not even close.
Okay.
Let me. Sorry, hold on. I can't even see Jalen Hurts because I don't have StatMuse Premium. That's how far down he is on the list.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about? Let's go, Josh Allen. He had to have a big game.
Nope.
No.
Somehow no. 359 was his most this year, which is less than Andy Dalton this season. And Andy Dalton's not on the list, but I thought that was funny.
Wow.
Right.
I'm feeling a little Mahomesy all of a sudden. Is Mahomes on the list?
looking a little Mahomey. He is number 3 with 424.
Oh.
So
Wow, that must have been quite a while ago.
Yeah.
It was in October. Yeah.
Yeah.
What numbers are left?
So you've got number 5, number 7, and number 9, I believe.
Okay.
You said Stroud, Tua, Mahomes, Mullins. You said Baker, Flacco. And did you say... There might be one more. I'm not sure if you said him. I can't remember.
This is a long shot, but I think
No,
he
I
had
think there is one
one
more.
game with a lot of Lamar Jackson. I think he had one game where he was tossing it.
Nope. 357 in the Detroit game, but that is pretty far down.
Man, I feel like now we're just grabbing. Actually, wait, no, this isn't grabbing at straws. There's a good chance that Matthew Stafford's on this list.
No, Matthew Stafford is not. Also, he's not even on the list.
Dang. I thought there was a chance with all those weapons.
There's one guy I can't remember if you said him now. I'm like,
Oh, what about Justin Herbert?
Yep, Justin Herbert, number 5. In the game against the Vikings in September, 400 yards.
I know he had a great 3-game stretch, weeks 1 through 3.
Yeah,
and then went to nothing.
You know what? I feel like at this point we gotta start getting wacky. Any chance the Pastronauts on here?
No, but you're warmer.
Oh, Kirko?
Big Kirko, yeah.
Big Kirko.
Kirk Cousins is number 9 with 378 yards.
Okay.
So I think you have 2 left.
Oh, 2 left. It can't be Burrow. Gardner Minshew? Did Gardner Minshew pull off some magic?
No.
No. Oh, Sam Howell?
Sam Howell! Yeah, Sam Howell actually is on the list twice. He had 388 and 397. So he is the number 8. No, he's the number 7 guy on this list. Sorry. Number 7, Sam Howell. I believe there's one left, unless you said him and I'm just stupid.
Okay.
We've mentioned his name on the show already today.
Already says his name on the show. Is it Big Russ? Russell Wilson?
That's what I was going to say.
Nope.
Oof.
Did we say Tua? Yeah, you already said Tua.
Yeah, we said Tua.
No, it can't be. It can't be Jordan Love.
He's not. This guy's not a scrub. He's
okay.
He's leading the.
Yeah, but it's so hard to looking at a list of quarterbacks and. Oh no, it can't be him. Dude, Flacco's been so good.
Wait, Will Levis? Just kind of throwing. I'm throwing.
He said not a scrub.
This guy's top 5.
Hey! Will Levis is a dog. He's not a scrub.
It's not Joe Cool, is it? Joe Burrow never had a good game this year.
No, this guy's top 5 in yards this season.
Oh.
Huh. Goff?
Nope.
I don't think
he also has over 30 touchdowns this year.
Huh.
Trevor Lawrence? Dude, I'm just throwing.
We talked about his team like 4 minutes ago.
Oh my god.
Dolphins, Chiefs, Cowboys. I don't know. Come on,
guys. Come on, you know it.
Oh my god, the chat probably going crazy right now. Please, Case, someone get it.
Is it Gino?
No.
Drew Lock.
How many players are there that have 30 touchdowns and are top 5 in passing yards?
Yeah, there can't be many, but I feel like we've said them all. I wonder is this the one you thought we said and you were like, I don't know if you said it?
Probably.
Is it Russ? Like, it's not. Well, no. There's no way Russ has 30 touchdowns. What am I even saying?
He was in the MVP conversation for a while. You guys must have said him, or you're just brain dead.
Yeah, I think
we had to. Who is it?
It's Dak Prescott.
We said Dak.
Yeah, we said that. We said Dak.
We said Dak. He was like one of the first guys we said.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jesse.
I
Can you
think
just
you
say
might
it
have said
again so I can
no at
act
the
like you just
time
got
too.
it?
Yeah,
Can you just say it now so I can act like you got it?
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott.
Against the
Shout
Giants.
out Case who gets to see the behind the scenes.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
I was trying to think if you said Dak or not, but I couldn't remember if he was the first person you said or not. But the first person you said was Nick Mullins. Anyway, Dak Prescott, baby.
Yeah.
Chat. I mean, chat has our back. Chat knows that we.
No,
said
I knew
Dak.
that you guys must have said it because there's like no way you wouldn't say Dak Prescott for that many.
Dak was like one of our first like 2 guesses.
Yeah, that was
I
wild.
guessed Dak. I'm the one who said Dak.
All right.
Yeah, that's right. Dak was our 4th answer. Brian had Nick Mullins and Joe Elite. I said Tua and Dak.
Yeah. Whoopsie. All right. Well, that was fun. So that I actually gotta go. So I gotta sign off here. We got a lot of stuff from today, so we can save our trivias that we have here for next week.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to everybody in the chat who's been hanging with us. That was an atrocious trivia on my part. Thankfully, the power of editing, right? So if you're watching right now, I want you to comment on the video when it comes out. Hey, didn't they already say Dak Prescott?
Exactly.
So go for it. Anyway, this has been Pass the Rock. Lovely holiday show. We will see you all in 2024, starting, I don't know what day we'll be recording, but we'll be back in the new year, and we'll see you then.